If that works out.
Okay. So we're on the sugya of a noisim nashim. The Mishnah said that it's also to marry. We said the marry doesn't mean the irisin when they Hariyat Mekudeshesli, that's mutter later on. It's going to say that, but the actual coming together, that's nesuin. So that's also around the moed. The Gemara said 3 or 4 reasons. It says simcha b'simcha. You can't mix or dampen one simcha with another simcha. The Gemara means the first b'samachta b'chagecha v'lo b'shtecha. Another reason Torah, he shouldn't be too busy on chol moed. And the third or fourth reason was that he shouldn't delay the wedding till chol moed. If he mutter chol moed, so then it will be a very opportune time. It's cheaper because he has the meals anyway, and also nobody's working, so he might have incentive to delay the wedding. So we took away the incentive by saying can't do a chol moed anyway, so do it as soon as possible. Up to the bottom line, Meisvei Kasha on all these pshatim. It says Kalelu Shamlu Asun Lisa b'moed Mutarin Lisa Erev Regel. That even though it's usher to marry on the chol moed, but it's mutter erev yontif. And the more saying that the more the Rashi explains, the more is going to be muchach. Then it means that if he's going to get married erev yontif, so then the Sheva brachas is going to be during the chol moed. So all of the reasons apply. Ein ma'av simcha b'simcha, the simcha of the yontif together with the simcha of the Sheva brachas, or he's going to be toreach, or he's going to push off the wedding in order to be able to have the Sheva brachas at least during chol moed. Kasha l'kulu, everyone seems to be difficult. The Gemara says no, it's not fair on anybody. Lo kasha. Lamanda Omar Mishum Simcha, Simcha Chad Yomu. Even if the reason is because of Simcha, Simcha, but the real Simcha is only the wedding, the first day. That's when it's going to be a contrast, a conflict with the Simcha of the Moed. But the Sheva Brachas is not as big a Simcha as the wedding, and therefore we don't mind that that's going to be overlapping. If we're concerned that there shouldn't be too much tircha, he shouldn't be so busy on Chol HaMoed taking care of the wedding. Only the wedding is the big tircha, but the Sheva Brachas is not as much tircha as the wedding. If the issue is because he shouldn't delay the wedding in order to have it on Chol HaMoed, they'll get it cheaper and more, and people will be maybe not working. But if you only allow him to do it on Erev Yom Tov, Chol HaMoed Zaser, so he's not going to take a chance. He's not going to wait and push off the wedding for the Erev Yom Tov. As Rashi points out, the Erev Yom Tov, it could be that it'll be a busy day, he won't be able to, then he's going to have to wait till after Yom Tov already. If he has a number of days, Chol HaMoed, so then he'll take then it's a legitimate risk that he could get the wedding on Chol HaMoed, he'll push it off until then. But if it's only going to be a question of Erev Yom Tov, and if he misses that day, so he pushed it off for nothing, and then have to wait till after Yom Tov already, so it's not going to be Kedai. So we didn't have to answer him getting married on Erev Yom Tov, we only made this to marry on Chol HaMoed. Now the Gemara goes into a general backing up, zooming out, that Ein Rav and Simcha b'Simcha. That was the first thing the Gemara said. You're not allowed to mix a Simcha with another Simcha. I want to say a small pshat that I think is maybe a nice pshat, that it says in the pasuk in Yeshayahu, Orva called Simcha. Over there it's talking about that there's not going to be Simcha. And it says Orva called Simcha. The word over there, Orva, they say means to darken, to be dim. All Simchas are going to be dim. So I thought that maybe that's how the word Ein Marv and Simcha b'Simcha, not that it means you can't mix a Simcha with a Simcha, but it means you can't darken one Simcha with another Simcha, which is the same idea, just found the words, that the words might mean that when you do two Simchas together, one of them is going to outshine the other one, and it's going to overshadow it. And maybe that's what the word Marvin means. But anyway, the Gemara goes now into a long abrichas of how do you know this is so that you're not allowed to do two Simchas together. תכסיב, היה שלמה בייס היה השכר, וכל ישראל לימור כל גדול מלבוא חמש עד נחל מצרים, לפני אדינו אלינו, 7 ימים ו7 ימים עברו 10 יום. That's all the pasuk in Malachim, that it says that Moshe Shlomo Melech, when he made the Beis HaMikdash, he made the celebration of the inauguration of Chanukas Beis HaMikdash. So he said, he called everybody. Chag was Sukkot time, and all Am Yisrael came from the north till the south. 7 days and 7 days, 14 days. That means that it was 7 days of the inauguration, 7 days of Sukkot, back to back. Altogether, it was a 14-day celebration. And it comes out, I think Gemara is going to say soon, that happened to be that it was the 7 days before Sukkot, comes out from the 8th. From the 8th of Tishrei, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, that was all the celebration of the Chanukas Beis HaMikdash. And then it went straight into the 7 days of the Chag, and 15th of Tishrei for 7 days, altogether 14 days. And the Gemara is wondered if it was so close, why didn't he make it all together? He should have overlapped. He should have made the Chanukas Beis HaMikdash overlapping on Sukkot. He could have gone both at the same time, and that would have been a gain The Misa, if it's true that what? He could have done the Chanukas Beis Hamikdash on Sukkot. Instead of having 7 and 7, he could have made 7 days. The 7 days of Sukkot should also be the inauguration of the Beis Hamikdash. It was mamish ready at that time. So instead of making it 7 days before Sukkot, then he had a 14-day celebration. He could have made it 7 days, and he could have gotten both Sukkot and the celebration, Chanukas Beis Hamikdash all together. And Taisu says over here that maybe Am Yisrael shouldn't have to take off work for 14 days. This maybe it would have, okay, whatever the reason would have been. The Gemara thinks if it would have been mutter, he would have done that. Then Isa, the Marv Simcha b'Simcha, if it will be true that you're allowed to do 2 simchas together, he should have waited until Sukkot and made it 7 days for both. It would have been 7 days for Sukkot, also for Sukkot, and also for the Chanukas Beis Hamikdash. So that's a proof that you're not allowed to. The reason why he made it 7 is because you're not allowed to make it together. But the Gemara challenges this reason. The Dilma Minta Lona Trina, this Rami Avdina, maybe once it was ready to make the simcha, you can't push it off. That if you finished the Beis Hamikdash and now you're going to wait 7 days in order to make the simcha, that you're not allowed to do. But if it comes out, you would be allowed to. So there's no the Esem, you're not allowed to make 2 simchas together. You're just not allowed to push it off. If the simcha is ready, then do it right away.
But I don't understand. Wasn't it a 14-day simcha?
No, it was a 7-day simcha.
7 days. Oh, so it ended in the beginning of Sukkot?
Yes, it was 7 days before Sukkot. That was this celebration. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That was the celebration of the Chanukas Beis Hamikdash, and that's going to be Yom Kippur. That's going to come into that. That's going to be a side story. You're right, but the celebration of the Beis Hamikdash was the 8th till the 14th, and then it came straight into Sukkot and another days of Sukkot. But it wasn't the Chanukas Beis Hamikdash. So that's the kasha. Make it all together. So the Gemara says. So first, the Gemara thinks the reason is because Ein Marvin Simcha b'Simcha, but the Gemara challenges maybe not. Maybe the reason was because he wasn't allowed to push off the Simcha. If the Beis Hamikdash was finished, so then make the Simcha right away. Don't push off 7 days till the Simcha is going to come. But the Gemara says, but there was still an Eitzah. He should have not finished the Beis Hamikdash. Means it's true. If he would have finished the Beis Hamikdash, he can't push off the celebration for 7 days. But maybe if he would have delayed finishing the Beis Hamikdash, don't finish. Like people do by a siyum. They want to make a siyum, so they leave a couple of lines, and then we'll make the siyum in a couple of days. So that's more kasha also. Maybe Shlomo Melech should have left part of the Beis Hamikdash, a couple of stones, and then finish that Erev Sukkot, and then go into Sukkot for that for 7 days. Must be in Marv Simcha b'Simcha. But the Gemara says maybe not. You're not allowed to delay the building of Beis Hamikdash. If you have everything ready, so continue building. You can't leave a little piece to the end. By a siyum, maybe you're allowed to, but by the Beis Hamikdash, you're not allowed to delay. So he had to do it as soon as he finished, and he finished, let's say on the 7th of Tishrei. So right away, he had to make the simcha right away. But if it wouldn't have come out, maybe ma'arvin simcha b'simcha. But the Gemara says, "Ayislav v'neitzah." If you behold ma'arvin simcha b'simcha, the kal yorev was something that the words mean kal yorev, to hold back the ravens, and that was something on top of the roof of the Beis Hamikdash in order that the ravens shouldn't sit on the top. It talks about that they bring tumah, they have carcasses, and they bring the piece of meat, the carcass onto wherever they're going. So we don't want the ravens to bring things to the top of the Beis Hamikdash. So they made something that should keep them away. The question is in the question what it was exactly, if it was spikes or the like. So, but the Gemara thinks that that's not called not finishing the Beis Hamikdash. The etzem binyan, the structure is finished already. Just you have these spikes that you have to put on top, so that you would be allowed to wait. But there's enough reason that there's no isser to hold that off. But it would be a reason that he wouldn't have to make the celebration until that's finished. So he should have finished the Beis Hamikdash, but not put up the Kal Yorev until right before Sukkot, and then do the simcha of the inauguration together with Sukkot. So it must be because Ein Marvin Simcha b'Simcha, or else he could have found the Eitzah how to delay it. But the Gemara says, no, also not true. Since it's also necessary, you need it for the Beis Hamikdash, so it's also you're not allowed to delay. So the Gemara is asking at this point that you don't see a proof in Marvin Simcha b'Simcha. Maybe the reason why he did it earlier is because he finished the Beis Hamikdash and he couldn't stall finishing the Beis Hamikdash. And once he finished, he had to make the Simcha right away. But if he'd be able to, there would be no issue of Ein Marvin Simcha b'Simcha. So now the Gemara comes to explain the final drash. You're right. It isn't because of this, just the facts that he made it 7 days earlier, but it's going to be medurik in the pasuk. The pasuk is mashma that he dafka made it separate. The pasuk is extra pasuk. It says they made the chag and the celebration 14 days. We would have understood that it means 7 and 7. Shiva Shemim v'Shiva Shemim. Why does the pasuk have to stress 7 and 7 altogether 14? It should have just said 14, and together with Sukkot, would have understood that it means 7 and 7. Since the pasuk Dafka speaks out Shiva Shemim v'Shiva Shemim, Shramina Hani L'chud V'Hani L'chud. The pasuk is coming to Mimiramis. It's a drush. It's not just from the facts. It's a drush from the pasuk. Shiva Shemim v'Shiva Shemim means that the 7 days of Sukkot have to be separate from the 7 days of the inauguration. And that's the halacha. That's how we paskin. It seems ein marvin simcha b'simcha. But the pasuk can talk about what kind of simcha. It doesn't mean anything to simchas. It means like big simchas that you're not allowed to overlap. And that's what the Gemara comes out. One of the reasons why you don't make the wedding during Chol HaMoed. Now the Gemara goes on to a side point. This is a bonus, as Moshe pointed out. It comes out that they didn't fast on Yom Kippur, because if they made the inauguration from the 8th until the 14th of Tishrei, that includes the 10th. The 10th is Yom Kippur, and it seems that they didn't fast. They celebrated and they ate and drank, and they celebrated on Yom Kippur. That's what the Gemara says. A side point over here. They didn't make Yom Kippur. It means they didn't fast. They ate on Yom Kippur, and then they had Charata. Maybe we made a mistake. Then they were worried. Maybe Am Yisrael, it calls it in a euphemism, so the enemies of Am Yisrael, but it means Am Yisrael. That maybe Am Yisrael is chayiv destruction because they ate on Yom Kippur. Chayiv Koris, the whole Am Yisrael. But a voice came out from heaven that all of you are invited to Olam Haba. Everyone's been out. They didn't lose Olam Haba because of it. They're not chayiv for eating on Yom Kippur.
I wanted to point out that when Shabbos falls out, Kippur falls out on Shabbos, you're not allowed to eat.
Right.
The Siyum is more chashuv than Shabbos.
So the Gemara says a drush that they made. The Gemara thought that the Chanukah's Beis Hamikdash is more chashuv. That's what the Gemara.
That's huge chiddush, no? Even in Shabbos.
Even,
I'm saying because Shabbos,
yes.
I never thought about it.
Yeah. And the Gemara is going to have a reason what they thought and why they had. The Gemara goes now. All the facts now, all these pinks over here are going to be what they thought, why there is docha, and why they thought maybe they're wrong, and then the sources for all of their mistake. So here, and also at the end, the source that Hashem was mochel them. So it's not so. My Dorish, what was that drasha that they thought that you are allowed to eat on Yom Kippur? All this is a bonus. All this is on a cruise now. We're on the side. We finished the drasha already in Rav and Simcha b'Simcha. But now the Gemara is pointing out they came out Yom Kippur. How did they think that you're allowed to eat on Yom Kippur? They said it had a kavachomer. Ma mishkan shein kedushas kedushas olam for korban yachid. Docha Shabbos, there's a skila. That's all one side of the coin, and then the other side of the coin is going to be mikdash kedushas olam for korban sibur. Yom Kippurim donish kores lo kolshkein. The halacha was that the Nesiim, when they made the inauguration of the Mishkan, they bought karbanos every day, like it says in Parshas Nasa. We read it on Chanukah also. B'yom HaRishon, b'yom HaSheni. Every day, different nasi bought a korban, and those korbanos, the Gemara is going to say that they were makriv on Shabbos also. The Nesiim who brought the 12 Nesiim brought korbanos, so they did every single day, one after the next. They brought it on Shabbos also, and they were docha Shabbos. They brought a korban tomas docha Shabbos, but this korban, it's a docha Shabbos. So that was a chiddush, and the pasuk says that was docha Shabbos. So the Mishkan is not everlasting; it's a temporary. The Mishkan is a temporary sanctuary, and the Beis Hamikdash is going to be permanent. And over there is only a korban yachid, and here the Gemara talks about a korban sibur. First, the Gemara talks about the korban sibur that the sibur brought korbanos by the Chanukah's Beis Hamikdash, and Shabbos over there was Docha Shabbos, which is this skila. Shabbos is more common than Yom Kippur. So if the korbanos of the Nesiim was Docha Shabbos, even though the Mishkan is temporary and it's only korban yachid, and it was Shabbos, which is very chomor, so now make it kavachomer mikdash. Kedushas olam, the korban sibur. Yom Kippurim donish kores lo kolshkein. The mikdash is more chashuv than the Mishkan, and the korban sibur is more chashuv than the korban yachid. And Yom Kippur is not as stringent as Shabbos. It's only Yisrael's kores to eat on Yom Kippur. To do malacha, to eat. Well, the Gemara is going to talk about eating soon. But first, the Gemara talks about the korbanos, that they were allowed to bring the korbanos with a kavachomer. So, and they said if they're allowed to eat the korbanos, if they're allowed to bring the korbanos, they're also allowed to eat it. It sounds like they're eating the korbanos. The Gemara is going to say soon that after bringing a korban, they can eat it. They also have to drink also, and therefore they thought that that's docha Yom Kippur, and they're allowed to eat, and that's why they celebrated on Yom Kippur. But then they were worried, made a mistake. So that's more kasha now. Elamai how you do. You're more worried about why did they have harata? Maybe they made a mistake. Over there was korbanos. You're right. It's a korban yachid, then it's Shabbos, and it's kedushas in kedushas only. Right. But over there, after everything, it was a korban to Hashem. That's called tzarach kavoah. But here they ate. It wasn't a question of bringing a korban. If they bring a korban, that's fine. To bring the korban, this is true. But to eat the korban and then to that maybe is not mutter. Tzarach hedyot. The Gemara asked Taka, what did they think? Why did they think that they're allowed to eat it? They shouldn't have eaten. They should have bought the korban. Why did their mistake include that they thought that they're allowed to eat? The answer is that they can't rejoice without eating and drinking. So they thought that the necessity of bringing the korban and is also necessitates that they should eat it also. So I guess it will be the korban shlomim, and also they have to drink already also in order that it should be simcha. That's what they thought, but they had chavot that maybe are wrong because it's a tzarech edyah. So before the Gemara goes further to say that Hashem was mochel them, it sounds like it was a mistake. Just the Gemara is going to say that Hashem was mochel them. That means that they were taka wrong. But Hashem was mochel them, not that they did right. The Kavachom was taka wrong because it's only a tzarech edyah. But Hashem was mochel them. That's Gemara is going to get to in about 10 lines. But before there, the Gemara has to first back up what it said. So far, the facts for the drasha were that by the Mishkan it was docha Shabbos. The Nesim brought their kabbanas on Shabbos. The Gemara is going to have to back that up. We're not sure that's true. Also, the Gemara is going to back up that they taka ate on Yom Kippur. It doesn't say the Ferish. And the Gemara is going to. It just says that they celebrated on these 7 days. Maybe they didn't eat on Yom Kippur. Maybe they had 7 days. Maybe they started 7 days and it wasn't in a row. Maybe they started on the 7th of Tishrei, 7, and then whatever day was Shabbos, they skipped and then they continued. So the Gemara is going to prove all these points. First, the Gemara proves, how do you know by the Nesiim, in the times of the Mishkan, they brought the Kabbanas also on Shabbos. Well, Mishkan, the Dachi Shabbos Benalvan. How do you know that the Mishkan, they were Docha Shabbos to bring the Kabbanas of the Nesiim? And then later on it says also B'yam HaShvi, that it says, Yom HaRishon, the Kribnis and El Ben Sawar, and then on the second day, whoever was Zvulun, it goes on, and then on the 7th day, it says whoever was Makar the Covenant on the 7th day. And if you count it straight, it sounds like Yom HaShvi means on Shabbos. That Yom HaRishon maybe means L'chorah, maybe it means the first day of the week. Yom HaShvi, 7th day of the week. Even if it doesn't mean that, it also would mean that the 7th day of whenever they started, it wasn't on Sunday. Whenever they started, but it says the 7th day. So you have 7 days in a row. So someday was Shabbos. The Gemara says, no, Duma Shvi the Kabbanis. Maybe it doesn't mean in a row. It means the 7th day bring the Kabbanis. Of course on Shabbos you don't bring the Korban. So maybe it would be that they counted all these 12 days of the Nesiim, but every time they skipped the Shabbos. Whenever it came to Shabbos, they skipped it. Amar Rav Nachman Yitzchak, Amar Kol, B'yom HaShtei Asar Yom. The Gemara is a drash. It's not a Pashup Shad anymore. It's only based on a drash because it says the extra word by Yom. This word Yom. It says on the 11th day. The first, second, third, it says Yom HaRishon, Yom HaSheni, Yom HaShlishi, etc. Yom HaSiri. But when it gets to 11, it says Ashtei Asar. Ashtei Asar means 11. But it doesn't just say Yom HaShtei Asar. It says Yom HaShtei Asar Yom. Extra word by Yom. So that extra word Yom, the Gemara has a drash. Ma Yom Kula Ratzuf, Ashtei Asar Kula Ratzufin. On a drash level, it says. I'm
sorry, excuse me. Are you saying Bayom is the extra or Yom at the end?
The last
Which
Yom.
Is the last Yom.
Right. This word Yom. The other ones, like it says the whole time, Yom HaRishon, Yom HaSheni. So Yom HaShtei Asar would have been good. But it says again the word Yom. I can't highlight. Let's try if I can highlight it here. I don't know. This word Yom. Oh, no, it doesn't let me. Okay, only the whole line. Okay. So and that extra word is saying a drash. What's the drash? Ma Yom Kula Ratzuf Ashtei Asar Kula Ratzuf. And a day is continuous. A day is continuous. Any day. From the morning to night, a day starts in the morning and it doesn't have any break in the middle, an interruption of the day. A day is continuous. So too, the 11 days was continuous. Continuous means there was no break of Shabbos in between. So they brought the Kabbanas even on Shabbos. Still, the Gemara is not convinced. The Dilma Yamim Maruyan, even though it's continuous, maybe this means continuous days that are appropriate to bring a korban. So they're not going to skip a day in the middle of the week. But maybe they did skip the Shabbos because it's not fitting to bring a korban because it's not the Hocha Shabbos. Gemara says there's another drasha. Here again, you have the extra word. It could have said in the 12th day of the Nesiim, it says the first, the second, etc. until it gets the 11th, and it says B'yom HaShtei Asar Yom. Then by the 12th, it also doesn't just say B'yom Shnei Asar. It says B'yom Shnei Asar Yom. The extra word Yom. That's the drash. Ma Yom Kol Ratzuf Shnei Asar Yom Kol Ratzuf. And the same drash over again. That a day is continuous, has no break in between. So too, the 12 days were all continuous. And the Gemara thinks that means for sure that even includes Shabbos. But the Gemara asks the kasha, we just said that not necessarily. Maybe it means continuous with the days that are permissible, but it skipped Shabbos. But it didn't skip a weekday, but maybe they did skip Shabbosim. But only the days that are appropriate to bring a korban, but on Shabbos is not docha. The Gemara says no. Then you wouldn't have needed two psukim. You're right. The mashmos of the word, even the mashmos of the drash, the judge says that's continuous, like a day is continuous. That wouldn't have been enough. But the fact that it says 2 times by the 11th and by the 12th, it says 2 times this word yom. So now we learn out on a drash level that it's extra to tell you that it even was not a hafsaka of a Shabbos day. So by the Nesim, when they brought 12 days, they brought it mamish continuous, and that included Shabbos, even included 2 Shabbosim, and they brought the kabbanas on those days, and that's why about Thomas of the Beis Hamikdash, they thought to have a kal v'chomer that if the Nesim brought the kabbanas on Shabbos, then also we could eat on Shabbos. Now the Gemara wants to say, who says they ate? It does say that it was 7 days. But again, the Gemara is going to ask, maybe it was 7 days not continuous. Maybe the 7 days of the Chagigah, of the celebration of the Beis HaMikdash, maybe it wasn't 7 days. I said 8 until 14. Maybe not. Maybe it was 7. And it's the 7th of 7th. And then whichever day was Shabbos, they skipped and they didn't, Yom Kippur. Maybe whichever day was Yom Kippur, the 10th. We know which day is Yom Kippur. Maybe it was on the 7th of Tishrei, 7, 8, 9, and then 10, they did not eat. And they didn't celebrate. They continued another 4 days after. That's the Gemara's kasha now. Menala on the Docha Yom Kippur, the Mikdash, the Docha Yom Kippur Menala. And how do you know that the story was that they ate on Yom Kippur? Just because the pasuk says that they celebrated for 14 days, maybe it's not on the row. Only the days that's possible to eat, but on Yom Kippur you're not allowed to eat. That's not one of the 14. The Gemara answers, There's a Gzer Shava now. Gzer Shava between the pasuk and the Torah that it says by 11th, 12th day of the Nesiim, it says the word Yom, and now he says here also Abor Yom. That's Gzer Shava between the Torah and the pasuk in Malachim, to tell you that it's also continuous. Just like that they brought the Nesiim, brought Kabbanas for the 12 days in a row, even including Shabbos. So also when it says here they had 14 days, they had 14 days in a row, and that means that it included Yom Kippur also. So they ate on Yom Kippur. The Brisa continued saying, that even though they were worried that they were Mechal Yom Kippur, but a voice came out from heaven that they were all invited or prepared as a manim for Olam Haba. That means that Hashem was mochel them. How do you know? How do you know that Hashem was mochel them? So Taka says there wasn't a vera. They made a mistake. It wasn't a good drasha because but how do you know that Hashem forgave them? The Tani Tachlifa, it says, this is a big pasuk over here. Maybe it's nice to underline. Let's see. Bayom Hashmini. Okay, doesn't let me. Okay, okay, Yom Hashmini. Okay, and it says all this. All that's the pasuk. So it says on the 8th day, means they had the celebration for 7 and 7 days. Now this is already, 7 days was 7 days of the celebration, not the 7 days of Sukkot. The last day of Sukkot is Shmini Atzeres, the 8th day. That says on the 8th day, which is Shmini Atzeres, so the king sent away the people. They finished the celebrating of the 14 days. It's already the next day. It's already the 8th day. It's already Shmini Atzeres. So he sent them, and they blessed the king, and they went to their tents. They went all home, rejoiceful and good-hearted on all the good that Hashem did to David his servant and to Am Yisrael and Yisrael his nation. That's the pasuk. Now I was going to dash from the pasuk. La'alehem. Maybe just do a little bit highlighting. La'alehem. That's in the pasuk. But that's going in the pasuk. La'alehem. Shalchum matzon l'shem b'tara. When they went home, they saw all the wives were not tameh, that they would not allow to have relations. Each one found his wife that she was Torah. She was not a neither. Smeichim, it says they went home happy. Shenanim is that they had benefited, they had enjoyed the brilliance of the Shechina, whatever that means. Nenanim is Shechina. Tobei Lev, it says they went, yes?
Shine.
Shine. Ziv, shine, good. The Tobei Lev, good-hearted, that each one of their wives became pregnant with a male son. 9 months later, there were one day that everybody was all the brisson over there. And then it says, Al Kala Tova, on all the good. This is the drash we're looking for. The more wanted to know, how do you know that Hashem was mochel? This is the drash, because it says all of the good that Hashem did to Am Yisrael. Al Kala Tova, that Hashem did to Am Yisrael. What was that? That Hashem was mochel them for the very beating on Yom Kippur. Then it says, the David Avdo, Uli Yisrael Amo. That's the end of the pasuk. That the good that Hashem did to David and to Am Yisrael. So the Gemara just finished explaining what was the good to Am Yisrael that Hashem forgave them for eating on Yom Kippur. Bishlam Uli Yisrael Amo Da'achalu Avon Yom Kippur. We just said that they did Yom Kippur. But what does that have to do with David? What did Hashem do for David at this time of the inauguration of the Beis HaMikdash? David wasn't even living at the time. It was Shlomo. David had died already. Elo David Avdo Mahi. What was the good that Hashem did to David? I'm Rav Yehuda going now on a bonus now. This is Mamish extra. Everything's a bonus of a bonus. We got into the sugya of mamash on a cruise. Now we're going on a cruise off the cruise. What happened? The Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav B'Shah Shebike Shlomo Lachtas Aron Mikdash. At this time of the inauguration, Shlomo wanted to bring in the Aron into the Kodesh HaKodashim. Davku Sham Zelazeh. The gates stuck closed. They didn't open up. They couldn't open up the doors. They had to get. They built a base in Mikdash. They had doors. It was a Kodesh HaKadoshim, and they couldn't get in. Hashem wasn't accepting that they should come into the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Shlomo Esim v'Abrav and still on end. Shlomo said 24 prayers, and it still was not answered. That's based on the pasuk over there. There's a long tefillah of Shlomo. It doesn't say it in the pasuk about opening the doors. It talks about all kinds of things that Hashem should listen to the praise of Am Yisrael if there's a famine, if there's a war. But it says over there the word Rina, Tefillah, all kinds
Rina
of
is the
kashas.
lesson, is like thank you.
Also kind of a prayer.
What's the translation of the word Rina?
The word means to call out loud. Sometimes it even means for sadness. It doesn't only mean to happiness. So over there it's called Rinanos. And Tefillah, Rashi brings on it says over there, Tefillah, Bakasha, all kinds of Lashonos. Where's the Rashi here? It says Rina, Tchina, Tefillah, Bakasha, different Lashonos about that it says over there in that parasha. And the word is dashing on a drush level, that it was davening that the Beis Hamikdash should be opened and they should be able to bring in the Kodesh, the Oron, but still lo nene, he wasn't answered. Pasaf Amar, Su Shomer Shechem. That's also when he prayed what it says in Tehillim over there about Hashem Malos, not Shem Malos, I'm sorry. The David Mizmah, Hashem Maloah. So Shomer Shechem, why was he asking that the gate should be opened? It's a drush level to say that the gates of the Beis Hamikdash should be open. He's asking Hashem that the gates should be open. But also, lo nene, he still wasn't answered. That was a pasuk that it says in Divrei Hayamim that the David Melech asked Hashem, do not turn away the face of your anointed one. Remember, that's the king, remember the kindness of David, your servant. Probably Chassid David probably means the chasadim that Hashem promised to David. But anyway, the point is, remember David. And in the schus of David, that's what it says, then it opened up. Miyad Nana, when he asked in the schus of David, then he was answered. And the gates opened up, he brought in the Oren to the Kodesh HaKadoshim. That was a public declaration that Hashem showed that David was forgiven. That even though people had complaints against David, and they said that after he had relations with Bathsheba, so then he's thrown away. But no, Hashem showed that Hashem forgave him. All of the enemies of David that were always gleeing over his downfall, now their faces became black because they knew that Hashem did forgive them. Everybody knew that Hashem forgave him. So that was the Tova, the David Avdo, that Hashem over there says in the Gemara that David asked Hashem, after Hashem said, so David asked Hashem, let everybody know. So Hashem said, no, only after you die. And in his lifetime, people didn't know that David was forgiven. But after he died, and now by Shalom Melech, and it was a public, the whole Am Yisrael was there. Over there, Hashem showed that David was forgiven. That all came out. Agav, again, the point came in because we wanted to know about Abraham, Ein Rav, and Simcha v'Simcha, and we proved to the fact that Shlomo made the Chanukas Beis Hamikdash not on Sukkot, even though it was right back to back. He couldn't push it off because Ein Rav and Simcha v'Simcha. Agav, the Gemara brought in the point that they ate on the 7 days before Sukkot comes out even on Yom Kippur. The Gemara had to prove that's true, and then the Gemara says also why they thought so, why they retracted, and that Hashem was mochel them. The Gemara brought in the course of the drasha, it brought this pasuk that's in the green, that on the 8th day the king sent them away. There were 7 days and 7 days. That was the 7 days before Sukkot, and then the 7 days of Sukkot. And then on the 8th day, the king sent them away. And the more Agav comes with a point that seems to contradict another pasuk. So the Bible is the story over here. We're going now on a tangent. A story. Rabbi Yonasan, and a lot of side points also. Rabbi Yonasan ben Asmai, Rabbi Yehuda ben Gerim, Tanu Parshas Nedarim Bei Rabbi Shem Bar Yochai. These two Talmidim, Tanoim, they learned. Rabbi Yonasan, they're not regular names. Rabbi Yonasan ben Asmai and Rabbi Yehuda ben Gerim. They learned Nedarim by Rabbi Shem Bar Yochai. Doesn't say that's not to get to the story, but that's what they learned. They learned the issue of Nedarim, Hilchas Nedarim, Mesachas Nedarim by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Iftaminei. And they took leave. They were ready to go home. They finished Mesachas Nedarim and they took leave. They took Rishus to leave the Orta. They took leave from him in the evening, and then they went home.
The same Rabbi Yehuda who had an incident with Rabbi Shimon later.
I don't know, but here it calls him Rabbi Yehuda ben Gerim, and over there it calls him Yehuda ben Gerim. So I don't know if it's the same person. And over there it's a sad ending. Here it sounds like he's very choshev, so I don't know. So here it says they took leave of him in the evening, but then in the morning they came again to say goodbye. In the morning they came again to take leave of him. Didn't he already say goodbye to last night? The halacha is, you taught us, or you say that for the Recheres, even though they heard it from someplace else, that if a Talmud takes leave from his Rebbe, but he stayed overnight, he has to take leave from him again. If he would have left right away, left last night, so that's fine. But since they stayed overnight, they have to take leave of him again. And what's the drash? The drash is from this pasuk. Here it says before that on the 8th day, that's when they left the king. The king sent away the people. But then if you look in Divrei Yomim, by the same story, over there says it a little different. The pasuk does have but in Chronicles, when it says over the same story, over there it says over there it says on the 23rd. The 23rd of Tishrei is not the 8th day of Sukkot. It's not Shmini Atzeres. Shmini Atzeres is the 22nd. Sukkot is from the 15th until the 21st. Hashanah Rabbah. Shmini Atzeres is the 22nd. And there it says that he sent them away on the 23rd. That means Yisroel Khan. So it's a contradiction in the two Psukim. Elamikan, the Talmud, after Mirabah, V'lan Bosa'ir, that's a proof that even though they took leave from him on the 8th day, Shmini Atzeres, but they stayed overnight. So then those who stayed overnight, they came again on the 23rd on Yisroel Khan, again to take leave of him. So you see that that's the proper Derech Eretz. And that's why we came again to take leave. So that was why they came to Rav Shimon Bar Yochai to take leave again on the next morning. So Rav Shimon was very impressed with these Talmidim. So Rav Shimon told his son, it doesn't say what his name is, maybe Elazar Rav Shimon, maybe other sons, I don't know. He told his son, go, these people are Anashim Shal Surah. I'm not sure what this expression means. People of form. What does that mean? It means, I don't know, but Bnei Adam Hagunim, these are good people.
Special,
Special
some type of special.
Right, okay.
I don't know.
So therefore, Zil,
Hadras
I don't think the Hadras Pan is a chitzoni. They're talking about something that they're people that you're worthy to get a bracha from. That's what he told them. Go get a bracha. Zil gaben de levarchuch. Go to them to be blessed. So now this is all a bonus. We're getting going on a cruise about the bracha that he gave them, and also even the Divrei Torah they were learning before when they came. A lot of extra credit over here. He went, the son of Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, he went and he told these two people, Rabbi Yonasan ben Asmai and Abuda ben Gerim, and he saw that they were learning and they had a kasha and aganata. The Karam Kroida, that Astir Psukim. One pasuk says, Palis Magal Raglecha v'chol derechecha yikonu, and another pasuk says, Orach Chaim Pentapales. Both of them are Mishlei, the learning Mishlei, contradiction in Mishlei from Parak 4 to Parak 5. One place it says, weigh your paths. Palis is to weigh. Magal is a path. Palis Magal Raglecha. V'chol derechecha yikonu. Weigh your path of your feet, and all of your ways are going to be established. That's one pasuk. Palis. The other pasuk says, Ochsiv, Orachaim, Pentapales. Don't weigh your ways. It's a drush level. And the pasuk over there is talking about Azona, and don't even think about going to her. But drush is darshaning that here it says Palis, weigh, and here it says Altafales, Pentapales, don't weigh. Are you supposed to weigh? You're not supposed to weigh. Lo kasha. Can't be mitzvah shef shalas. That was a kasha. That's the teretz. Lo kasha. Can't be mitzvah shef shalas al de'acherim. Can be mitzvah she'ef shar lasos al de'acherim. So Rashi says the pshat is that if you have two mitzvahs that you could do, which one should you do? Should you do the better one? There's a bigger mitzvah and a smaller mitzvah, or do you do the first one that comes to you, the first opportunity? So the Gemara says that if someone could do the other mitzvah, it means both mitzvahs are going to be done. So then you can make the cheshbon and take the better mitzvah, and the other person will take the lesser mitzvah. But if there's nobody else to do it, one mitzvah is not going to be done. So then you do the first one, whichever one comes to you, you don't make cheshbonos. That was one kasha, and that was the teretz. How did Yasmi become Iboilu? That another kasha. This was going to be a contradiction from Mishlei 3 to Mishlei 8. Also learning Mishlei. You come here with the Torah, the wisdom, the Torah is more precious than peninim, some kind of today they say pearls, whatever the word peninim means. It's more precious than pearls, and and all of your issues, all of your businesses do not equal it. So it says that the Torah is more chashiv than all of your business, but it says your business, your business. I can't get that word here, but the chafatzecha I'd like to highlight. I can't do it. It says that all of your businesses are not equal to Torah. Since it says chafatzecha, your issues, that means that only your issues are not equal to Torah. But mitzvahs, chefzei shamayim, issues about heavenly business, so then it is equal to Torah. So here it'll be mashma that mitzvahs are equal to Torah. But another pasuk says not like that. Another pasuk says, Kol chafatzim lo yishvu ba. Here it doesn't say chafatzecha. Here it says chafatzim. Chafatzim means any kind of business, maybe even Torah also. Even mitzvahs. Even mitzvahs are not equal to Torah. So that's the question. Do mitzvahs override Torah or not? That's a contradiction. Do mitzvahs override Torah? Your business doesn't equal to Torah, and the Torah overrides your business. But does the Torah override mitzvahs or not? That's a contradiction. So that was the kasha, and the answer is again same teretz. If it's a mitzvah that someone else is going to do, so you learn Torah and then let someone else do the mitzvah. But if the mitzvah is not going to be done if you don't do it, so then do the mitzvah even though it's on the cheshbon of Talmud Torah. Talmud Torah, you don't say osik mitzvah patam and mitzvah because the purpose of learning is no other to do. But if the mitzvah is going to be done, so then you continue learning. But if the mitzvah is not going to be done, so then stop learning in order to do the mitzvah. So this was the Gemara told us. Mamish agav that he's going on to get a bracha. Shimon sent his son to get a bracha, and when he came, he heard them learning Mishlei. They had two kashas, two terutzim, and then they noticed that he's there. Amalei, my boy, what are you doing? What would you like? Amalu, damali abba zil gavai because my father said go to them in order to get a bracha, so I came to get a bracha. Amulei, so they said a bracha, but the bracha was very vague, and it's even going to sound the opposite of a bracha, and he's going to be very insulted. Yehei Rava, it should be the will. The bracha goes on these couple of lines over here. About 4 lines. Rava the Tizra v'lo techsan, ta'ay v'lo tepuk, tepuk v'lo ta'ayo, lichre besach v'leisa v'shpizach, leval v'psorach v'lo techsi shatachada. Yehi ratzon, that you should plant and you should not cut down. Means, if take it literally, it means that you should plant seeds and they shouldn't be zochah to eventually cut it down. It's not going to grow. It sounds very bad. Ta'ay v'lo tepuk, take in and don't give out. Whatever that means. Rashi maybe says that maybe they thought that it means that bring in schora to sell and you shouldn't be able to sell it. Whatever. Tepik ta'ayil, give out and don't take in. Lechra vesa, whatever that means. Lechra vesa, v'leisa v'shpizach. But it sounds bad, all these things. Your house should be destroyed and your inn should be established. Like if you have a place that you say sometime motel, some kind of overnight, so that should be doing well, but your house should be destroyed. The valva psorach, your table should be a mess. V'lo sechzi shatachadata. You shouldn't see the new year. It sounds like you should die within the year. So this is mamish terrible. He gave him a bunch of curses. I don't know what they said goodbye. I don't know what he said at the end. Thank you. I don't know what he had. He came back to his father. He said to his father, not only did they not bless me, even pain me. So he said, what did he say? My amru lacha. Rav Shimon asked his son, what did they tell you? So he told him, they told me all these things about plant and don't cut. Bring in, don't take out, don't bring in. Your house should be destroyed. Your inn should be established. Your table should be a mess, and you should now see the new year. Amalei hanach kulu berachas. They're all blessings in disguise. Tizra v'lo techzad. Maybe we'll just underline that over here. Tizra v'lo techzad. You should plant and you shouldn't cut. What does that mean? Totally b'anim v'lo yamusu. You should have children and they shouldn't die. They shouldn't die in your lifetime. So that means when a person plants, that when he has children, but you shouldn't cut them down. They shouldn't die in your lifetime. The next one, ta'ayel, below tepuk, bring in and don't give out. What does that mean? Bring in daughters-in-law. That you should bring in daughters-in-law. Usually, Rashi says the way it was that the woman came to live by the husband's house and he stayed by his father. Maybe they built a little shack next to the house, like the Gemara says, a beis chasnas. But the daughters-in-law came to the father-in-law's house. So bring in daughters-in-law, and they should never have to leave. That your son should not die, but they should have to leave. Then they go back home to their father's house. The next one is tepik v'lo ta'ayil, give out and don't bring in. What's that? Tolid binta v'lo yamusu guvrayu v'lhadru levasach. You should give birth to daughters, and their husbands shouldn't die. Means they should leave. Your daughters-in-law should come in and never leave. And your daughter should leave and never come back. That it shouldn't be that the husbands are going to die. They're going to have to come back to you. The next one was lichra besach v'leisa v'shpizach. That your house should be destroyed and your motel, your inn, should be established. What's that? The high alma ushpizach. This world is temporary. This world is a motel. So this should be a successful motel, be here for a long time. The grave is called a house. That's more permanent. So the grave should not be used. And temporary dwelling should be very used, which means this world is your temporary dwelling, and the next world is your permanent dwelling. That's a pasuk. Over there, it's talking about Rishon, I think, but the Gemara is mentioning that the word kerev is written as kever, read as kever, that their grave is their house forever. That means that the grave is representing afterlife, and that should be not used because you should be living a long time. The next one was the Valvel Pesorach, your table should be a mess. What's the blessing in the table being a mess? You should have a lot of sons and daughters, the table's a mess. That's one of the side effects of having children, that the house is a mess. That's a bracha, the table should be upside down. And the last thing was you shouldn't see the new year. You shouldn't see the new year. It means that you shouldn't have to go through another Shana Rishona. Your wife shouldn't die, and then you marry somebody else, you have another Shana Rishona. I bet I shouldn't have another Shana Rishona. So that's all the story about Rav Shimon with the brachas of Yehuda ben Gerim and with Rabbi Yonasan ben Asma. It came out as a side point. We learned out also 2 drashas about learning against mitzvah or 2 mitzvahs that you do. If it's we learned this halacha also all these blessings about in the skies. I had a pshat. How come he said it in the skies fashion? So I think they wanted to teach that the bad part of it. Realize that it's for a good purpose. Even the fact that the house is a mess, but realize that it's a good thing. That's the side effect of having a family. So good, it should be a mess. So all the other things also. The daughters leave, the daughters-in-law come. It might have sometimes a bad side to it, but always realize the ultimate good that really lies in it. Once the Gemara brought such a story, brings another story now, another bonus, a bonus for a bonus for a bonus. We're going very much extra bonuses today. They say Rebbe that he was leaving. Rav Shimon Chalafta was a Talmud of Rebbe, and he was leaving. Amalei. So the father said to the son, Rebbe said to his son, the great say, go to get a bracha from Rav Shimon Chalafta. Amalei. So he went to a bracha, and what was the bracha? Yehiraiva, the Lo Vayesh or Lo says Vayesh. May it be the will of Hashem, that you should not shame anybody and you should not be shamed. That was the bracha he gave, that you shouldn't embarrass others shouldn't embarrass you. Also, like Abu came back to his father, Rebbe, Amalei, my Amalacha, what the bracha did he give you? Amalei, he said, tell me plain words. He didn't take it as a serious bracha, not embarrassed. He thought maybe a bracha for wealth, for Chachma, Gibor, or Usher. He gave him a bracha, he shouldn't be embarrassed and he shouldn't embarrass others. Amalei, he said a very chashuv bracha. The bracha he gave you was a bracha that Hashem blessed Am Yisrael, and he repeated it. Hashem said 2 times the bracha of not being embarrassed. Here it says levosh ami la'olam, and the pasuk continues, and again levosh ami la'olam. It says 2 times. Hashem said that my nation is not going to be embarrassed. So you see the importance of how important a big bracha is not to be embarrassed. Hashem gives such a bracha, so don't take it lightly. The bracha not to be embarrassed is very important.
Rashi points, why I need to write that people do a lot of things not to be embarrassed.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. And Rashi points out that before said lo tavayesh, lo tizbayesh, don't shame others, and you shouldn't be shamed. Rashi says the bracha is really you shouldn't be shamed, but don't embarrass others, which is going to cause you're going to be ashamed from that. Maybe you can learn different than Rashi, but that's how the Gemara brings out the point of not being shamed and embarrassed is a very, very big bracha. So we finished all that. Sugi, all that was about under the category, under the Mishnah that says about not marrying on the moed. We had 4 reasons, and all the drashas saying about simcha b'simcha, and a lot of tangents as a bonus. Now we'll go further in the Mishnah. The Mishnah said, the osa isha tachshita b'moed. The woman is allowed to do cosmetics on the moed, and the Rebbe said that something she's not allowed to do. She's not allowed to do sid because it makes her disgusting. When she puts on the sid, it's for hair removal, but it makes her disgusting until she gets it off. We're not talking about jewelry. Jewelry is no question. We're not talking about making the jewelry. We're talking about doing cosmetics. So what is the cosmetics that's permissible to do? So kochela is some kind of a blue, maybe eye makeup, and pokeses is a question in the Mishonim if it means a part in the hair or other kinds of pshatim. The Tosfos means a few pshatim. Rashi says making a part in the hair, or Tosfos says some kind of a gathering of the hair, something to do with the hair. Maybe other pshatim also. Then it also says maviyas rakal panesh. You could put on like a red makeup kind of a thing, rouge, something like that. Also, she's allowed to do all of these cosmetics. Ikadami maveres. Here it says strak. They changed it to sakin. Maveres sakin al panesh al mata, that she'd be allowed to remove hair. Panesh al mata means not on her face. It means panesh al mata means in the private parts she's allowed to remove hair also. The wife of Rav Chisda, she was doing these kind of tashitim even after she already had a daughter-in-law. It means that she was an older woman. She wasn't a young wife. She was already a mother-in-law. She was old enough that her child got married, and she also was doing cosmetics. Yosef Avuna Barchinina Kamedi of Christoph Yosef Akama Lashanu Ela Yalda Volskena Lo. This Talmud was surprised that his Rebbe's wife was doing cosmetics on Chol Hamoed. He thought that the heter of cosmetics is only for a young woman, but an older woman doesn't need cosmetics, and therefore it shouldn't be mutter on Chol Hamoed. It says only a Yalda, a young woman, but an older woman shouldn't be doing cosmetics. Amalei, Shaf Christus said us, no, it's not true. Elohim, afilu imach, afilu imedi imach, afilu merdes al kibba. I swore by Hashem, Elohim, I swear that even your mother and even your grandmother, and even a woman who's ready to get it on her grave, she also is interested in cosmetics. Women like cosmetics. Six-year-old runs to hear the music. When they hear music by a chasana hall, whatever it might be, or some kind of partying, so it doesn't make a difference if she's 6 years old or 60 years old. They're interested in running, and they're very youthful. The women are very youthful, and even if they're old, they also are interested in all of these kind of celebrations, and therefore she's also happy to do cosmetics, and doesn't make a difference if she's old, and it isn't limited only to a young woman. Older women also are allowed to do cosmetics on Chol Hamoed. The Mishnah continues that according to Yehuda, she's not allowed to do this kind of treatment of sid. Sid is lime, and that's a hair removal procedure, and it makes her disgusting, so she's not allowed to do it in Chol Hamoed. But the Gemara explains, Tanya Yehuda Omer Isha Lo Sasad Nation Ivilula, or Moed Rabbi Yehuda B'Stid Sheyechol L'Lakapla B'Moed Shetaflaz B'Moed Shapa Pishem Mitzira He Achshav But Simchi Lo Lachazman. The Bryce explains a little bit more, that he says it's also to do sid, but that's only because it's disgusting and it's not going to have any benefit on Chol Hamoed. But if the treatment is still enough time that she'd be able to remove the sid and still benefit from it on Chol Hamoed, so then she's allowed to do it. It seems the machlokas is, if she's allowed to do this treatment, if she's not going to benefit from Chol Hamoed, according to the Tanna Kama, she could do it even though she's not going to have the results until after the Moed. Also it's mutter. I'm not sure why. Why the Tanna Kama holds that it's mutter. It's malacha, it's not benefiting on the Moed. So I don't know why the Tanna Kama holds that it's mutter. But Rabbi Yehuda says that it's asa, but if she's going to benefit from it on the Moed, that the treatment will be over and she'll take it off the sid and she'll be beautiful, so then it is permissible, because even though while she's doing it, she does have tsar, it's disgusting, but simcha lachazman, it does make her happy afterwards. So she's allowed to tolerate on the Moed the difficulty, because she's going to benefit from it on the Moed. The Gemara is the kasha that we find Rabbi Yehuda someplace else doesn't hold it as far. Umi Islay the Rabbi Yehuda Haisfar, there's Rabbi Yehuda holding this fara that even though right now it's painful, but since later on it's going to be a happiness, so it's a reason why it's mutter now also. But Tanan Rabbi Yehuda Omer, over there it's talking about a different halacha altogether, a whole different subject, different left field subject. It's talking about that Lifnei Dehem, at the times when the Goyim are having holidays about their avodah zarah, so you're not allowed to do things, have business with them in a way that they're going to be happy. Because the Gemara says, that if he has some kind of success, the guy has success, he attributes it to his deity, and he's going to thank his deity during his festival time. The good things happen, so he attributes it to his avodah zarah. So we don't want to be a part of that. We don't want to do something that's going to cause him to thank his deity. So it says that you cannot, let's say, pay back a loan. You can't pay back a loan to a goy because he's going to be happy and he's going to thank his deity. But the question is, are you allowed to get paid back a loan that he owes you? The goy owes you money. So Rabbi Yehuda says you may, because the goy feels bad about it. He has to take out money out of his pocket and pay back his lender. So you're allowed to take money back from him because it does not make him happy. But the Rabbanan say you may not. Amulo, the Chachamim said, even though when taking out the money itself, he's paying by it, he's losing money. But then he's happy that he says, okay, that the loan is paid up, and people are happy to have the loan paid up, and therefore you might go, just like we would say, L'havdil, Baruch Hashem, I paid up my loan, so they're going to go to thank their deity that they paid back the loan. So this svara seems to come up over there also, a whole different scenario, but the svara is saying that right now it's difficult, but later on he has benefit from that. So if Rabbi Yehuda hold this svara, like over here he says that she's allowed to become disgusting on Chol Hamoed if it's going to benefit her later in Chol Hamoed. So over there also, he should have said that the guy is not, you're not allowed to get paid from him, because even though when he gives out the money, shells out the money, he's difficult, painful for him. But afterwards, he goes home, he says everything's okay, Baruch, he blesses his deity that he says that he finally paid the chol. So if he holds it this forward, then it should have applied over there also that he should not be allowed to accept. A Jew shouldn't accept the payment of a loan from a guy. It must be he doesn't hold it this forward. So the Gemara has two twists into this kasha. Rivina Amar Goy Linian Piron La I'm sorry, I skipped. Amar of Nachman by Yitzchak Hanach Lilchas Moed the Kulu Meitzer Achshav Asamech Lachas Manin. that the Chol Moed is different. In general, Rabbi Yehuda does not hold it as far, and that's why he holds that on Goy, you cannot take money from him on the holiday season of the Goyim, because you may take money from him on the holiday season, because right now he's paying, and even though later on he's going to be happy about it, we don't take that into consideration. But Chol Moed is different. We do take into consideration, because the whole issue of Chol Moed, the permission to do any kind of malacha, is always based on this yisod. So Rashi says that whenever you do malacha and Chol Moed, even when you cook and you bake, there's work. You're in the kitchen, you're working. The whole reason why it's mud is because you're going to benefit from it on Chol Moed. So the Tzarech HaMoed, that's always, they do a Maisa Hedyot for Tzarech HaMoed. You're always working and exerting yourself for the benefit of the Moed. So as long as there's benefit on the Moed, Rabbi Yehuda doesn't consider that Asar and Chol Moed. But in the Svar alone, he doesn't look at what's going to be later on. He just looks what's right now. So by the guy, when he shells out the money to pay back his loan, he feels bad that he's losing money. He thinks he's losing money. He doesn't look at it like he's paying back his chov. So therefore, it's permissible. Only Rabbanan argue and say that he's going to be happy about it because he paid back his loan, and therefore don't accept the money on Chol Moed. And another teretz, Ravina Omar Goy Kusi Goy LeInyan Piron Lo LeMeitzah, that the Goy is not like the Jew. Really, Rabbi Yehuda does hold it as far that you look according to what's going to be later on, even though he's paid now, since he sees a benefit later on. So then we look at it like a benefit. But the Goy, when he pays back his loan, he's not happy. The Jew, when he gives out the money, it's a pinch for him that he has to give out money. But then he goes home after he paid. Okay, I paid back my loan. Baruch Hashem, I paid back my loan. But the Goy, he'd rather always be able to not have to pay back the loan, and he doesn't have, at least I got the loan paid back. He doesn't have that good consciousness. So therefore, that's the reason why we holds that he's allowed to get paid from him on the moed. They want to argue. I'm sorry, not by the festival season, but they want to argue and say that a guy also, after he pays back, he feels good about it. So therefore, you should not accept the loan from him during their holiday season. The Gemara continues the rest of it.
Do you think Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak meant that a goy feels that way because he's paying back a Jew?
Oh, I don't know if that's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The Gemara doesn't.
He thinks it's the Messiah. Like, how would human nature be different? That's why one.
Right.
I thought differently, because a Jew wants to pay back a loan. A guy, if he has a way to get out of it, he'll get out of it.
And it does make a difference if it's from a guy who the lender is.
That's
what I thought. I thought also that the point was that he's not happy to pay back the loan, no matter who it is. He just looks that he lost money now. He doesn't realize that it was only a loan. But I'm not saying it's impossible, but that's what the Gemara doesn't talk about that. The Gemara just talks about the fact that how does he feel about paying back a loan? Doesn't say about a Jewish loan. The rest of the Gemara, once we spoke about the cosmetics, so it talks about the cosmetics, about hair removal, and it brings a few midrashim about it. Amar Rav Yehuda. Benos Yisrael shegila pirkan v'lo gila l'shanim. Ani is tough lososin besid. Ashir is tough lososin besolas. Benos malachim b'shaman amol. We had this once before already. What does it say on the side? Shabbos Tafpei Psachim Mem Gimel. It says that girls that they started growing hair, pubic hair, but they're not yet of age, and they want to get rid of the hair. So how do they do the hair removal? So it depends how much money they have. There's poor and there's rich and there's royalty. So the poor people, they only could afford sid. Sid is lime, and that is a one method of hair removal. And that's what I said before. That is the sid, that's an evil. But it works. Ashiros, women that are rich, so then they use solus. I don't know, solus usually means cracked, ground up grain. And I guess, I don't know how it works. It also has such a kind of a property that also is a hair removal. Benos malachim and the royalty, princesses, they use myrrh. And that also probably is the best. And it's also has other good effects of cosmetics. So they use myrrh in order to remove the hair. Shenema, Shisha Chadashim Hashem and Amor, Pasuk in Megillah Esther. We had this recently. We had the whole Pasuk, the whole Drash before, that this was also what they gave to the girls by Achashverosh in order to remove the hair, and also it softens the skin. What is this? This is a myrrh. Satkas is the word for myrrh, M-Y, I think, R-R-H. It's olive oil that has not yet grown to a third of its maturity. That the olives they were picked when they were not even a third grown of the full growth, and you made olive oil out of that. So it's very acidic, and that's good for cosmetics. Tanya Rabbi Yehuda Amar Fekino Shemazai Shleivi Shlish V'Lam Sochana So Shemesher as the same other as Sabosa. Over there, it's talking about menachos by the meal offering. You have to use olive oil, but he says you're not allowed to use olive oil which is not grown a third. It has to be at least a third grown of its a full growth in order to be kosher for menachos. If not, then it's not good. But what is it used for? It's used dafka for cosmetics, to take off the hair and to soften the skin. The Gemara says a small story about this, about Sid. The Gemara goes back to Sid. About one of the methods of moving hair was with Sid. Rav Beiboy had a daughter, Tafla Eva Shaka Bodalad Mezuzi. He did a procedure, a treatment that she had hair on her body, and in order to remove it, so he used Sid, but he only did one limb at a time because it's very strong. Too much is not good. So one limb at a time, and she became very beautiful. And when she got married, he got 400 zuz for his daughter. But a guy was in the community and he saw what her baby did. He was very impressed. He wanted to do the same thing. There was a guy in his neighborhood, and he also had a daughter, and he also did a treatment. But he didn't do like a baby did one limb at a time. He did the whole body, and she died from the treatment. He blames it on a baby that he killed my daughter because I learned from him, but he didn't learn all of the details. He didn't know how to do it. Rav Nachman, Rav Nachman said that Beibo's daughters had hair, that they had a whole problem in the first place. He had to have Sid in order to remove it, is because he drinks beer. If you drink beer, so then maybe that's something, I don't know what it is exactly, but it causes that the hair should grow. It doesn't say they drank beer. I think there's some saying that goes that if a girl drinks beer, she grows a beard and things like that. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say. This is probably the Gemara coming from.
You shouldn't drink the wine by Havdalah because you grow a beard.
Okay, so it doesn't say all that. There's no source for all that. But here it says that drinking beer if the man drinks beer, so then the children, maybe something in the genes or something. So then it says that they need, maybe it does mean that they drink beer. So he drinks beer, the daughters drink beer, maybe. So then it doesn't say about Havdalah, it talks about beer. So if they drink beer, so then they grow hair, and then they have to have the treatment in order to remove the hair. But we don't drink beer, so we don't have the problem in the first place. The girls don't grow so much hair. Okay, that was the issue about the daf, and a lot of agadata. The main point we started was that this usher to get married on Chol Moed, then married the 4 reasons, and we learned on the Agav, one of the reasons was Ein Marvin Simcha B'Simcha, the big Avichos that Shlomo Melech didn't make the celebration of the Chanukas Abayis on Sukkot because Marvin Simcha B'Simcha, or else it would have been the natural thing to do. Agav, the Gemara says that you're not supposed to push off the Simcha after the reason is ready to make the Simcha, and don't also delay Binyan Beis HaMikdash in order to make it on a certain time. The Gemara, it could be that by Yisrael you're allowed to do that you could leave a couple of lines in order to finish it later. But if you do finish it, then you should do it the Simcha right away. The Gemara points out that they ate on Yom Kippur during that celebration. It comes out it was a mistake. They thought this mutter because if by the Mishkan they were allowed to be the Kabbalas of the Nasiim, so Kal V'chomer they're allowed to do the Korban Tzibor and Yom Kippur, which is less, and it's Kedusha Solam. But it was a mistake because it's a Tzarech Hedya to eat, not like the Kabbalas, which is a Tzarech Gavoa. But Hashem was mochel them, like it says that everyone went home happy after the Chanukah's Beis HaMikdash Al Kol Tova that Hashem did in Yisrael Lamo, which means that Hashem was mochel them. But the Baskal came out. Agav, the Gemara says other things that it says over there that when they went home, so they found their wives Tor, and then there's a Vashchina, they had all male sons, and also it talks about David, that David also was forgiven, but he was forgiven a long time ago, but nobody knew about it until now, that Shlomo Melech wanted to bring in the Orah into the Beis HaMikdash, but the doors didn't open until he davened in the schos of David, and then everybody realized that David was forgiven. Agav, before it said the drushes about how do you know that they ate on Yom Kippur, and how the Nesiim that was Dochli Shabbos, the Gemara says drushes about the extra Yom that it says, that was on the drush level. And the next Gemara brings in about the pasuk of Yom HaShmini. When did they leave the king? Was it on the 8th day? Was it on Nisru Chag? The contradiction. And the Gemara learns out from there that if you take leave from a Rebbe and you stayed overnight, you're supposed to take leave again in the morning. And he had 2 Gemaras about cheshboning, calculating which mitzvah you should do, mitzvah against the mitzvah against Torah. And it says, no cheshbonos, whichever one comes first, the Torah, the mitzvah, and the mitzvah that comes first, and mitzvah against Torah. But if you have a choice, someone else is going to do it, so then do the better mitzvah or learn Torah. And then the brachas that they got, that were all very disguised brachas, but they meant to say that even the bad thing that looks a little bit bad, realize there's blessing in that also, and that's all the brachas that he gave him. The next one talks about also the chashivas of the bracha of not being shamed, not to be embarrassed. and not to embarrass others. And then by the Takshitim, it seems that according to Rabbanan, a woman's allowed to do cosmetics, even if it's not going to benefit from another moed, which I don't know why, if that's true. But the Buddha says only if she's going to benefit from the moed. If not, she wouldn't be allowed to. As far as
I think by the way, women enjoy putting on makeup.
it could be,
They have a good time doing it.
could be that the actual putzing, even if they don't have the result, it maybe it's also a mutter on Chol Hamoed. It's also considered a simcha moed. The Gemara brings on the svara about samech lachas man. Does Abu the hold of it or not? Two pshatim in that Gemara, but there are one surely hold of it that it's mutter if they'll have a simcha later on. Machlokas in the Gemara if a guy is happy that he paid back his loan or not. And the last thing the Gemara talks about the different kinds of hair removal, sid, solas, and shemen amor. Plus in the Megillah Sester. And Shemen Zayis before it's a shlish is good for that. It's not good for menachos, but it's good for cosmetics. And the last Gemara that when a person does do the treatment, so make sure that it doesn't do it in a way that it's going to be fatal for they're doing too much. It's too strong of a treatment. And the last thing it talks about drinking beer might be a reason why the girls grow hair.
Yashar koach.
Yashar. Thank you, everybody. A wonderful Shabbos, and as Hashem, 6:45, 6:45, Moshe Shabbos.
Shabbos, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Yashar.
Thank you very much. Have a good